Isn't it interesting that you will, quote, platform Candace? She hasn't been on my show in several years, but I get all the hard time. Why am I getting that? You're the one, quote, platforming Candace Owens. She and I don't have that kind of relationship.
It is absolutely insane that one religious group gets to gatekeep this federal commission, which is supposed to be protecting religious rights in America. This is a good segue into what Megyn Kelly told Piers Morgan about why she has refused to condemn Candace Owens and has refused to bend the knee to Zionists.
Very supportive of her, not critical, even though she, I would argue, and I have to her face when I've had her on the show, well, I get on well with Candace, but some of the stuff she's been doing in relation to Erica Kirk, Brigitte Macron and others, I do think is really regrettable, kind of conspiracy theory nonsense just for clicks and money. Why would you hesitate before criticizing her over stuff like that?
I've criticized Candace many times over the years. We've had many public fights over the years. But isn't it interesting that you will, quote, platform Candace? She hasn't been on my show in several years, but I get all the hard time. Why am I getting that? You're the one, quote, platforming Candace Owens. She and I don't have that kind of relationship. Candace took a bunch of crap because she was very anti-Israel in the Gaza war. And it became a thing where you had to say she was terrible in her positioning. And then after Charlie died, she started questioning whether Israel had any role in it. And that's when they really tried to amp up the pressure on me to condemn her. And I refused because Charlie was starting to have serious questions about Israel. Not just its role in the Gaza war, but its influence on American politicians, something he and I spent hours and hours discussing. So I had no problem with Candace Owens asking those questions. And I refused to condemn her because I was under pressure from these people who wanted me to. And then that morphed into then everything Candace said thereafter, with which I may or may not have had serious problems, that I had to, where's the condemnation? And it was all really about the Israel thing. And I'd rather die than bend the knee to these people. I'd rather die than bend the knee. It won't happen. I didn't raise my fist and say BLM, and I'm not going to condemn the people they want me to condemn just so that I can get a little pat on their head, on my head from them. It's not important to me. What's important to me is I live free. And that, frankly, is what it means to be an American.
Megyn Kelly was extremely aware of what Charlie was going through for his shifting views on Israel. He was turning from Zionism. And because of the, quote, stereotypical behavior of Jewish donors that left him no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And he made that clear to Megyn Kelly, who is not willing to close herself off to the possibility that because of all of this, and because of how influential Charlie really was, and we're going to get to that in a second, Israel might have been involved in his assassination. At the very least, it's worth asking and investigating. But you see it right there. Charlie began to recognize, as all of us do, the tremendous influence that Israel, through Zionists, both Jewish and Christian, has on our politics, government, and media. Noticing this is not anti-Semitic. It is rational observation that this is not an even playing field anymore. And whenever any Christian speaks up about this, we're shut down and categorized as bigots, evil, or diagnosed with some historic mental illness for the dissent and disagreement. No one wants another Holocaust. No one wants another Nazi Germany. We just want equal rights and protection and representation under the law. We just want the First Amendment of the United States Constitution upheld for us too.